Hello.
Hey, morning, Subhash.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you see me?
I can.
Okay. Let me see that. तो हम लोग एक 4-5 मिनट रुकते हैं. हाँ रिपल.
Sure.
Let people join in.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning to you all. So we will start in another couple of minutes. Let some more guys join in. Today being a Sunday morning, so we'll have to give some Sunday buffer time. तो हम लोग 4-5 मिनट में चालू करते हैं. So kindly bear with us for another 4-5 minutes. Thank you. Unmesh, can you hear me? उन्मेष आवाज येतोय माझा?
I can hear you.
ओके ओके. सो कधी चालू करायचं तू सांग.
We can start right now, no problem.
Okay. Ripple, should we start?
Subhash, I'm ready to go. Now you take the call and we can get started.
So we'll start within a 1 minute. Let's. So
Sure.
now it's 11:06. We start at 11:07.
Sure.
Because today is also 11:07. We'll start at 11:07.
Good morning, Ripple and Subhash.
Good morning, Dr. Santosh Khedekar, sir. How are you?
Yes, fine.
Okay. So
So nice to see you, Santosh.
Yes, thank you.
I
Yes,
think
Subhash.
it's 11:07, and today being 11:07, I think this is the right time to start.
11:07 के बजाय happy birthday to you, Subhash.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Great. So good morning to you all. I think some more people, let other people flow in with the time, but we should start. We'll just start with success. This program is organized by Success, and especially post-pandemics, when our economy has shrunk to minus 7.3%, and when we talk about industry, 98.5% industry falls under MSME. And as MSME is a major contributor to GDP, MSME creates the employment, and if you follow the current statistic, almost more than 50 to 60% of MSME got affected due to post-pandemic scenario. And so when we thought, yes, if we really want to work on the growth of this economy, we need to really work on empowering MSME. And we thought of starting this MSME crisis dialogue. And today is our third lecture in this MSME crisis dialogue. This program was actually started with some legend, Dr. Krishan Khanna. He is a MSME guru. And today, this third series mainly on, again, empowering MSME, and subject is how MSME can really design their path of a profitable growth. And just, before handing over to our speaker, we would like to really brief about Success. Success has actually started with the empowering MSME, and we provide end-to-end service support solutions for MSME, and other sector which we are really working is creating social entrepreneurs. Our vision is to create, to promote nation building through team, collective, and collaborative success over an individual, and we support, or we endure to support MSME for them to grow. Our vision for MSME or businessman, our mission is to help MSME to make their job more enjoyable, profitable, and scalable. And how it can be done, we ask MSME that they should focus on their core domain, core expertise, and all non-core activities they should outsource to consultant. We are not saying any, it should be. And in current scenario, I feel as normally everybody always go to doctor for their own personal health check. So every business has to check their business health, because everything, whatever our bread and butter and our family eventually comes for our job or business. So everybody cares for their health, personal health, but the business health is equally important. And in the way we go to doctor, for our personal health, there are consultants and in the market, and it's our personal request to all MSME owners in India that this is a time that in order to have a right technology at the right place, and knowing whether your business is going through a right path, one need to adopt or appoint a consultant on board. It's your choice. There are so many good consultants in the market. So we request that this is a hard time, and this is not a time for trial and error. Our country, our economy is going through a big, it's a challenging time. So in this our endure, today we present to you our friend, is a dear friend of mine and ours from our college days, Mr. Ripal Doshi. Mr. Ripal Doshi has around 25 years of experience in this industry. He has worked with a top-notch company like Siemens, and he was, delivering or servicing or providing services to more than 60 to 70 countries. And around last 6 to 7 years, he has started on his own by the name of Prestige Consultancy. And in India also, he has helped so many companies to transform and help them to come out of their crisis, help them to multiply their business. So without taking much of your time, I welcome Mr. Ripal Doshi, and I request all of you to give him a round of applause. So thank you all for joining, and I hand you over to Ripal Doshi for further presentation. Thank you all.
Thanks, Subhash. Yeah, interesting Sunday, because it's reality that on Sunday people actually want to come for the webinar, increase the knowledge, and look for the how to improve the way they are functioning the businesses. So thanks, first of all, thanks to so many of you have decided to join on a Sunday morning. Now, over the next about say 40 to 45 minutes, what I'm going to share with you is some of the things that we have seen in different type of industries, whether it's a retail, whether it's a service provider, whether it's a manufacturing, whether it's a project company. There's something which is fundamental to the way thinking has to be applied to business. And that is what actually leads to profitable growth. So I'm going to share a presentation and and run you through some of the concepts. Is my slide visible?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So the topic is called as effective management for profitable growth. And a lot of people would be wondering, is there a difference between profit and profitable growth? And why the topic itself has been made as profitable growth. Now, what we have realized over a period of time is that companies keep on making profits and the profit numbers keep on growing. But what company failed to understand that there is a concept called as profitable growth. Now, what's the difference between the two? Let's understand that first. Let's say I'm a 100 crore company and making a profit of 10 crores. That means I'm actually making 10% profit. Now, the moment I become a, let's say, 1,000 crore company and I'm making 90 crores as profit, my absolute profit numbers has gone from 10 to 90, which is very good. But if you look at it in terms of percentage, it has come down from 10% to 9%. And that is what most of the companies do not realize, that a profitable growth would mean that your ability to have a profitability percentage which is far better and outpaces the expenses or the effort that you put in to make the business grow. Because at the end of the day, all the effort that an owner managed company or an SME is putting is for growth, and it's also to make profit. So if you put the two together, there has to be some mechanism where you can get consistently a graph where your profitability far outpaces the effort that you put in to grow the business. And therefore, knowing that now, how do I get my focus right? Yeah. In order to ensure that I keep on consistently growing in the right way is where an owner actually started the business. Now think about it. Some of you may be owners, some of you may be managing your personal life, some of you may be managing your professional life. And the challenges keep on coming. Where do we face the real challenges? That when you started some activity or some event or some company, the intention was that I should be able to get good returns out of it. And that was a dream. That was a purpose by which you started the company. But having said that, over the period of time, the same company, the same event, the same activity that you're taking up, if that starts becoming a pain, which means it actually pulls you down, it drains you, you get into firefighting on a day-to-day basis, then the question would often come back is that, am I doing the right thing? And I have seen that the principles of theory of constraints do not necessarily apply only to business, they even apply to personal life. And you'll see that a parallel coming out here. And most of the owners that we have worked with, they are actually getting sucked into day-to-day operations. And when they get sucked into day-to-day operations, that is where the real challenge happens, that they cannot grow. So do they manage the transactions or do they manage the business growth? And that's a conflict. So if you have to manage the growth and you have to get the focus right, three things have to be answered. First, what to change, what to change to, and the most difficult part, which is how to cause a change. A lot of people know when they're facing the day-to-day problem, they know what to change. They know those issues. They also know or have an intuition of what to change to. Where the businesses actually start struggling is how to cause a change. So I'm just going to change this terminology a little bit in terms of how the struggle manifests itself in the day-to-day life of a owner. Now it starts with a clarity of what to change, a belief of what we have to change to, what is a new thing that we want to bring in order to make our life better. And finally, the struggle is what prevents them from growing. So how to cause a change is where they stop. So here I'm going to take a pause for a minute and ask ourselves a question. What is it that we really want? Is it that we want change or is it that we want improvement? Now, these two words are really, they seem very close to each other, but they're actually different. Now think it over for a minute. Does every change lead to an improvement? And an answer is a definite no. Not necessarily that every change would lead to improvement. But what is reality is that for an improvement to happen, change is inevitable. So if there is no change, no improvement can happen. And if you have to change, would we generally change? No, if we are comfortable in whatever we are doing, and the answer should be no. That if we are comfortable in whatever we are doing, then we are less likely to change. And if we do not change, we do not get improvement. So if at all, change has to be there, it's very much required that there has to be a sense of discomfort. We should not be happy with the status quo. We should not be happy with whatever we are doing, and we should be actually be looking for questions which tells me that these are the areas which are not giving me comfort. It's not taking me towards my dream. It's not taking me towards a direction that I had chosen. And that is what will force us to change. And if that forces us to change, then there's improvement. So if any one of you are here who are actually happy with whatever you're doing, or you're happy with the way the business is running, or the way your organizations are running, then trust me, there's less likely that there'll be change, and there's less likely there'll be improvement, or dramatic improvement for that matter. Okay, so higher the pain, higher the improvement, and this is the actually the conflict breaking assumption that there is a pain in the system, and that pain has to go for the improvement to happen. So how does the entire thing manifest? Let's look at it now. I'm going to put up a few statements out here. Okay, I'm not going to read each one of them. Whether you are in an organization, whether you are at your individual level, okay, see whether these some of these makes sense. That you are running on people dependent systems, which means if a resource X is there, then everything goes well. But if the resource Y is there, then things do not work out well. There are surprises in real status of economy or business. Things keep coming, and there are a lot of things which I believe are uncontrollable or beyond me, and there's nothing much I can do about it. It's always a third party which is causing all these issues. Okay, otherwise I'm fine. It's always funds. It's always prioritization. We do not have an early warning signal. Typically, the problem comes and then we start solving it, and therefore we are getting into firefighting. And the question that we always ask ourselves, is it really so? Because we are part of the business, we are part of doing things every day. Should the surprise actually surprise us? Or is it that we have made a habit out of those surprises and we start calling them to be the reason why the growth is not happening? Answer could be very simple, by the way. It cannot be complex, because if the businesses are meant to be run in a simple way, then the answers to all these issues have to be extremely simple. And somewhere a solution has to be so simple and so obvious that at the end of 30 or 35 minutes, it should look like commonsensical that why we can't do this. And that's what's the power of TOC. So if you people are actually experiencing some of these challenges, think about it, that if they have become routine, if they are the ones keep repeating on a day-to-day basis for you, is the answer in trying to solve these issues? Are these really issues? Are the symptoms, or are they the root cause? And to us, after having seen close to about 100, 150 companies, and having understood the way owners work, having understood the way the businesses work, and the way people work, we realize more and more that these are symptoms. They are not really the issues. They manifest themselves as issues, but in reality, they are not. So how do we bring about a mechanism which cracks all this? I'm going to ask each one of us to step back for a minute. Okay, I'm going to show you two diagrams. There's a system A, which has 5 images, 5 balls, and then there's system B. If I ask ourselves a question that which system actually looks more complex, think for a minute and really come to the reasons why whichever system looks complex to you appears so. Some of you may be seeing system A as complex. Some of you may be seeing system B as complex because of the number of arrows and the dotted lines. If I ask you the second question, which system does your company, your unit, or your way of working or interaction with others look like? Does it look like system A, or does it look like system B? You may have answers for that. Now, if I have to give an answer to the way to look at the system complexity, And if I to convert it into the way a change happens in an organization, now let's look at it whether our intuition matches. Let's say I want to bring about a change in system A, which has 5 balls. And change in this particular slide would mean that now I'm moving it from here to, let's say, somewhere else. Okay. And if I'm moving it somewhere else, the minimum number of moves that would be required is 5. Why? Because of 5 independent, discrete circles, unconnected, whether it's people, whether it's functions, whether it is orders, whatever you may have assumed. Okay, there's a minimum of 5 moves which are required. Now, if I look at system B, if any one of you thinks that it's going to be 13 moves, then sadly you're wrong. Why? Because the very reason that all of us are connected in system B, whether this is, one of them is accounts function, whether the other one is sales function, whether the third one is, let's say, marketing, the fourth one is assembly or inspection, manufacturing, whatever may be the circles. Okay. The moment you pull any one of the ball and move it, what would happen because of the connection? The rest of the system would automatically move. And the moment the system is having a huge number of connections, the problem starts. Where does the problem start? The problem starts here itself. While the system looks very complex, in reality, it's very, very simple. Because if I have to bring about a system, change in the system, the only thing that I need to know is which ball to move. And the struggle is actually coming from not knowing every ball and the connection that they have and which ball should move in order to get the maximum leverage in the organization. So let's understand what happens in an organization from the system itself. Assume that there is sales, there is assembly, there is production, there is inspection, and so on and so forth, finance, and whatever may be the function of the organization. Now, every morning, every person comes to the organization with the intention of improving the organization. Okay? No one comes to the organization with the intention of making up someone's life miserable. But what happens in reality, at the end of the day, we all end up blaming each other. Why does this happen? What is an improvement in the system? The improvement in the system can be demonstrated like this. Improvement is equal to someone trying to move their respective circles of the ball in whichever direction that they feel is right for the organization growth. Okay. They feel that, no, that's a level of improvement. Now, if any one of these people move the ball, the very fact that all of us are connected in the organization, what will happen to the rest of the system? The rest of the system will start feeling its impact all over, and the rest of the people who are not even thinking of improvement, or the rest of the people who are not even doing anything, they will also get impacted. For example, if sales tries to bring a better order at a lower price with a different material, somewhere in assembly, in order to manufacture it, there could be an impact. Okay. Let's say assembly tries to do something, or say in a projects environment, okay, someone tries to complete a task early without knowing that that task may or may not be needed at that particular point in time. It has its impact on the overall system. So now you see that everyone tries to come to the office with the intention that they are trying to do what they believe is best for the organization. But when collectively we come together, the best for the organization is only adding to stress, because you only end up moving the ball left, right, up, down, without knowing whether the overall system is improving or not. That's why if you see, every organization takes in a lot of projects, individual projects, which they believe will improve the ROI of the company. And if you actually add up the ROI of all the projects taken in the company, the ROI actually is negative. Why? Because it has not brought about a system improvement. What it has done is only local improvement. What we also do on top of it is aggravate the system by splitting the system and measuring different parts of the system. Okay. Now here, there's a profound statement which says, people tend to behave in the manner in which they are measured. Think it over. You tell me how you're going to measure me, and I will tell you how I'm going to behave. So what we do in an organization, not only we split the organization, we also put measures, and those measures are functional. Not a single measure is holistic. And if the measure is not holistic, people will start protecting the respective areas, they'll start protecting the respective KRAs, they'll start protecting the respective metrics in order to show good performance. But the system as a whole does not improve. And fortunately or not, whether we like it or not, 99.9999% organizations across the globe are system B, which is the one with the 13 balls or the ones which are showing the connections. And the reality is that while we are system B, we often operate as if we are system A and we can take independent decision, and that is what causes the aggravation in the organization. So my third question is that what makes organization system B? And the answer is only one. That most of the organizations are system B because they are bound by a common goal. I'm using the word common goal. I'm not talking of the goal. I may have a personal goal, I may have a business goal. But the fact is, organizations have a common goal, which is the profitability of the organization. And every individual, whether it's mentioned or not mentioned, believe that whatever activities that they're doing are actually going to help the organization. No one thinks that they are doing activities which are going to harm the organization. And because they're doing with the right intention, but wrong actions because of the measures, because of the way we are connected and the way we are not looking at holistically the impact of whatever we are doing, it leads to trouble in the organization. Let's look at it from the perspective of an analogy. I think most of us will be able to relate to this, especially in COVID times. If we go to a doctor and tell the doctor that I have muscle pain, chills, cough, fever, and doctor says that now I'm going to give you individual medicines. Vis-a-vis another doctor who says, now all the symptoms have to be connected. You are system B. Your hand is not different from your stomach is not different from your head is not different from your neck. You are system B. And therefore, if doctor assumes that all the symptoms have actually a single root cause, which if solved can actually solve the problem of the body, why are we not able to take the same thinking when it comes to corporates? The moment we enter the corporate, we start differentiating sales to be different from marketing, marketing to be different from operations, operations to be different from project management to purchase, and we start applying bandages all over the place. Even if it's an educational institute, we start measuring classroom performance. We start measuring different elements of the goal rather than the goal itself. And that's where, if the single root cause has not been identified, if you're not able to understand the fact that all of these have to be connected, and if the symptoms are there in the organization, there has to be a single root cause, and try to solve the root cause, organizations can never flourish. And actually, the management will only be, and if you are the owner, you'll only be struggling trying to address the problems of the people, problems of the task, and instead of not taking the organization up, you'll be forced to go down at a transactional level and get into day-to-day operations and do firefighting. Now, this is where the concept of theory of constraint comes in. This was pioneered by Dr. Goldratt, and I had a honor of working closely with him. We are responsible for getting him to India. And I'm just going to give you the understanding of this theory of constraints very, very briefly. An organization is like a chain. Okay, and just like a chain, which is connection of links, an organization is also like a collection of links. There are departments which are connected to each other. Now, there are two elements of the chain. The first element of the chain is a weight of the chain, which is equal to weight of link 1 plus link 2 plus link 3 plus link 4. So if I have to reduce the weight of the chain, if I reduce the weight of any other link, the overall weight of the chain would come down. Now, this is equal to the cost of an organization. If you reduce the cost of any one department, the overall cost will come down. But there is a very strong and a fundamentally more important parameter of the chain, which is the strength of the chain. And the strength of the chain is equivalent to the throughput or the output of the organization. Now, if you really think about it, the strength of the chain is never equal to strength of link 1 plus link 2 plus link 3 plus link 4. A strength of the chain is determined by the strength of the weakest link. If you pull the chain from both the ends, it will never break at the center. It will break at the point where the link is the weakest. Similarly, in an organization, there has to be a function, there has to be a area which is the weakest link, which determines the outcome or the throughput of the organization. If we are able to strengthen that, then we get profitability or better output. Think in terms of the analogy. If we are to improve the strength of the chain, and we do not improve the strength of the weakest link, but we keep on improving the strength of the other links without even knowing what is the weakest link, the weakest link will collapse faster. And this is where the cost of the organization will go up, because whatever effort you take on the non-weakest link is only adding to the cost. And that is why you see in an organization that a lot of time companies do not even know the weakest link, and in the name of initiatives in all functions and departments, they keep on improving the non-weakest links by adding more and more resources, more and more capacity, more and more capability, more and more automation in those links which are not the weakest link, which is what actually eats away the entire return on investment and does not allow the organizations to have a profitable growth. So is it possible to identify the weakest link? Is it that easy? Is it not? Okay. Let's pause for a moment out here. I started with the slide deck saying that no, we need to know what to change. Then we need to know what to change to, and then we need to go to how to cause a change. Now, as long as we all understand what to change, which means that the issues in the organizations are like the symptoms, okay, they're all connected, then we are all on the same page, that we have the single root cause. And trust me, just like in a doctor case, even in an organization, the root cause is not very difficult to identify if you understand the environments. Okay, so let's look at the direction of the solution itself. How does a solution come, and what are the different type of environments? Okay, so the direction of the solution is very simple. It's an integration of the people, processes, and the system in a way that becomes a way of working wherein people do not see the process and what they're doing to be different. It's not that no ISO ke form hai, now let me start filling up 2 days before the audit. That means what I'm doing and what is being asked for the ISO are not aligned. Okay, otherwise why should I be spending 2 days just before the audit to fill up the forms? If my way of working was equal to what I'm doing, then all my systems and processes should be aligned. And it is essentially about a culture that we are going to create for ourselves, for the organization to grow. So what does this mean? Can the processes, can the system, can the people be aligned if we put the right metric, if we know the weakest link in different type of environments? So how do we apply this practically? Let's look at it. These are the only possible type of environment. I'm keeping the service side of it outside right now. Okay, the service, which is hospitality sector, completely out of it. Really, these are the only spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, we have pure projects environment, which are one time, like constructing a flyover, constructing a bridge. They're not repeatable activity. At the other hand, we have retail, like, you know, garments, soap, all FMCG goods, they're all retail. And in between, we have project type. You have made to order, you have batch manufacturing, made to order or made to stock, and going all the way down to retail. Okay, so these are the only possible operations environment globally. You apply this to your company, whether you are a proprietor, whether you are a manufacturing owner, whether you are a projects company, whatever may be the case. The question is, what is the weakest link in each one of them at the environment level first? Okay, I'm not talking at the company level. Now, even before I click the next thing, think about it. Whenever we associate something with projects, the first thing that comes to our mind is the project going to get completed on time? How many of us keep on asking ourselves a question that is the project scope known? Is the project going to get completed on scope, on cost? Why? Because by definition, projects are unique, one time, and therefore also first time. Therefore, a lot of time your projects evolve along the way. A scope may be known, but it changes. Okay, so if my focus is on cost and if my focus is on the scope, and I know that the both of them are going to change, then the only thing that matters is whether the project got completed on time or not. Why? Because if the project gets completed on time, your return on investment for all the subsequent activities for manufacturing or for operationalizing the project starts after the project is commissioned. And if that gets delayed, very honestly, it's not the project cost which hurts. What hurts is the delay in the project, which actually takes away my entire profitability and the return on investment of all the activities which are planned post the project. So here, very honestly, there's only one weakest link, which is if the time is not managed appropriately, if my focus is not there on managing the time, I'm actually going to get into trouble. And that is why for people who understand the project's environment, the weakest link happens to be the longest chain or the longest path of the project. For companies which are into batch manufacturing, the companies which are really into capacity selling, it's not that the product that they're selling, it's a capacity which is available, which can deliver the outputs, which means if the capacity gets wasted, either because the order is not there, or the order is wrongly produced, or the order is wrongly delivered, or the priority is wrong, right? In all probability, the capacity of the organization is going to get wasted. And if the capacity gets wasted, even for example, educational institute, for example, if the classroom is not utilized effectively, if the batches are gone, if you're not able to do the things at the right time, right, the time is gone, and that time is equivalent to capacity in case of a manufacturing which is made to order, batch, or made to stock environment. And the last one is actually the retail, where the availability of the stock is really the weakest link. Let's look at it intuitively. If I go to buy a shirt of the size 42, and if that shirt in a particular shade in which I want is not available, in all probability, what hurts is not really the sale that the company makes. If the sale that the company does not make or the lost sale is what really hurts the company, which impacts the throughput. Whatever is sold actually gets the money, but whatever is not sold because of non-availability is what really hurts the organization. And most of the organization actually end up having a huge amount of stock without realizing whether that is a right stock to keep or not. Why? Because if I go to a store as a consumer and you cannot predict a consumer behavior, now think it over. Today I want a blue shirt of the size that I want, that is not available. I go back, the request goes to the company manufactures it, and when it comes back, I am gone. So now you're here left with an inventory which is not going to sell, and the inventory which could have sold and got me money is not available. So if you understand the environment, you need to know what metric you are going to measure. As I told you, people tend to behave in the manner in which they're measured. So if I start putting wrong measures in each of these environment, first of all, people behavior would actually not help the organization growth, and you can never get profitable growth. And if you do not get profitable growth, the only thing that the owner is left with is to get into each and every element of business in order to make the business work. And that is why most of the owners give up when they reach 5 crores, 10 crores, 15 crores, thinking that's the only level at which they can stay. Think about companies like Siemens, L&T. They were also owner-managed companies. You may have forgotten the name of the owners. They also started in a garage. But the very fact that they chose to understand the process and the systems which are required for scalable growth is what actually helped them become companies. I'm going to take a minute out here for each one of you to think that there's a difference between a business and a company. A business is a person dependent entity. Like, for example, it's a difference between a kingdom and government. A kingdom is like a king and the kids coming and becoming the next king for that organization. That's like a business. Okay, family, someone from the family takes over. But if you're creating a corporate, if you're thinking of creating a company, and that is what your aspiration is all about, then you have to think like a government. Any person comes and goes. The processes and the systems have to be so strong that it does not depend on the person. Okay, India as a country will keep on doing, irrespective of which government comes. That's the strength of the process, and that's the strength of the systems. So if my focus is right in a projects environment, it's all about time. In a batch environment or the manufacturing environment, it's all about capacity. And it's a retail environment, it's all about stock. And these environments are not at all difficult to identify. Okay. So if you look at it, just to summarize, the guiding principles are focus on the common goal, the few constraints, and the right area. Ensure that the flow or the turnaround time at that point of constraints is very, very quick. And as a owner or as a person who is helping the owner or as a person who is managing the situation, create the foresights in terms of what are those issues which are coming and likely to impact the weakest link first. No need to run around at every point, every part of the organization. If you're doing that, trust me, 80% of your time will be going in firefighting. Convert it into 20% for firefighting by anticipating those issues which could come and impact the weakest link first. Do not waste your time and energy on the non-weakest link, because that is not going to help you on the growth. So guiding principles are: think holistic like a system B, act with focus, try to ensure the win-win in the system, and finally, improve the harmony where people are embracing the change by putting the right metric in terms of how you're going to measure the system performance. Are you measuring the system performance, or are you measuring the individual performance? Because if you're measuring individual performance which are not holistic, which are not connected to the common goal, then you're going to split the organization. You're going to create multiple silos in the organization, which will never help the growth of the organization. Okay. Think like a doctor. Irrespective of whether you have a kidney problem, heart problem, or a normal fever, when you go to the doctor, there are two metrics which you'll definitely check. One is your pulse and one is your temperature. Now, if those two are okay, then the doctor knows that things are fine. If these two are erratic, then he gets into more and more details in order to find out the real root cause. Similarly, in the organization, there can only be 2 or 3 right metric which will tell the health of the organization. And once you know the health of the organization, then you know everything is good. If you do not know that, you're into trouble. To summarize the entire discussion and the thinking which I've been talking about for the last half an hour or so, let's apply all the thinking in a simple example. The approach is something similar to a highway. I'm pretty sure a lot of you would have seen a highway. So in this particular case, there's a highway with so many cars going across, and then there's a zone which is tapering. Now, if you think like this, see like this, that this zone has a capacity of 8 cars per minute. This has got 8 cars per minute. There's 4 cars per minute, 8 cars and 8 cars. And if I were to ask as an organization that how many maximum cars can come out in a minute, okay, it's never the sum of all this. It's never 8. It's about how much would go through the constraint, which is 4 cars per minute. But in reality, question is whether even 4 cars per minute would come out. And let's see what happens at the junction. I don't know how many of you have seen this. No, you'd have seen a traffic jam happening at that, all the locations where there is a constraint. Because everyone is all about me going out first. Okay, it's not about the system benefiting, it's all about me. Similar thing happens in the organization. That there's a traffic jam, and in reality, even the invested capacity of 4 cars per minute never gives results. Okay, you might end up getting 1 car or 2 cars, and without realizing it, the immediate thing that the organization try to do is that increase the capacity here, build a flyover here, okay, put a policeman out here, okay, they will think of constructing a bridge. Now, these are all expensive actions. When the system was built to get you an output of 4 cars per minute, and you're not even getting that 4 cars, and adding more and more cost to the system is an indication that whatever you're putting is a sunk cost, that you're never going to get a return on investment for that. So the question that should be asked is that even if I put 2 resources out here to manage the traffic, is that the right place to put the people? Because then you're trying to tackle a symptom. The symptom has already happened. There's a traffic jam. The question that we should be asking ourselves is that, do we require a a stronger mechanism at 4 cars per minute, or do we require the mechanism to stop wrong things from entering the system? Just because we had a capacity out here at 8 cars per minute, if I ask a question that no reason the traffic jam happened out here at 4 cars per minute was because someone chose to look at the individual stretches and say that all these stretches have to be occupied 100% of the time, the system output actually came down. What if we say that every other person apart from the constraint, the weakest link, is anyway going to have a higher capacity? Why make them work 100%? What is that assumption which says all people in the system have to be working 100% of the time? People sitting idle is a waste. And that is where the starting assumption says that if everyone is working 100%, the system will get choked. Think of the analogy of the body. You have 2 hands, 1 mouth, 1 stomach. If you think that full day your system has to be occupied, how can the stomach remain idle? How can my hands remain idle? And you keep eating 24/7, your system will get choked. And if the system gets choked, which is what happens in the organization and even in thinking, you can never get profitable growth because you're firefighting only to clean the system. So if you look at an organization, if you look at the entire system in terms of a flow, that you people are actually only custodians of the order or whatever you're doing, wherein people come and they're supposed to go out in a faster way, then you should also understand that you're not here to keep those orders in a choke form. You're not here to keep those students. You're not here to keep your people here in a choke form. You are here to make them flow through the constraint as quickly as possible to get the benefit. Then your metric and everything starts happening in the right way, which means my entire metric would say that no function is delivered until the services delivered to the final client or the final goal is achieved. We start rethinking our or reorient our thinking from utilization of the resource to ensuring how quickly the order flows through all the functions or whatever divisions I have in my function. I ensure that there's synchronization across the functions by making the priorities common. And more importantly, it's not about doing the right things. Even if you don't do the right things, it is fine, but it is more important to stop doing the wrong things in the organization. This is the only place where I'm going to warrant one analogy for your discussion and for your thinking. Let us say you are at a crossroad where there are 4 pathways, a signal. Okay, you will always realize that there are 3 reds and only 1 green when you come at a cross junction. Now, if you're looking at improving the efficiency of the junction, you should be saying that why only 25% of the signal is open, why it is green? Why not 3 greens and 1 red? But intuitively, you know that if you do that, then there'll be traffic jams. Okay, so you have only 1 green at any point in time. Now, imagine that you're in your bike, on your car, in whatever format, and you are at the signal and your bike has stopped. Now, the signal turns green, but your bike or your motor refuses to start and you therefore cannot go. After the signal turned red, suddenly your bike or your car started. Is it prudent to go or is it prudent to wait now? And obviously the answer is that we have to wait because it's red. It's not about the fear of the police or being caught, but the fact that if I go, I will cause traffic jam, which means now read the line in that context. It's more important to stop doing wrong things, which means do not go in red, then to do right things, which means even if you're not able to go in green, that does not harm the organization so much as the negative harm that is caused if you try to go in red. So understanding where to stop, understanding how to stop is far, far, far more important than knowing what to do and how to proceed. Profitable growth comes from knowing what not to do rather than what to do. Okay, and the process have to be simple, fast to get the results. So the last slide before we get into question and answer is ensure that you build the right kind of operational capability to manage the scale, which means ensure that you put the right metric, manage your constraint in the right way, ensure that your system is on autopilot mode. And once you're done that, then you leverage the capability for successful marketing, because that is what should give you the additional advantage of making more money. Like for example, if you charge now to go for 1 kilometer, a taxi would charge you 20 or 25 rupees. But if you use the same time an ambulance will definitely go faster, but it will charge you 1500 rupees. Okay. So the leveraging of the capability would come for an ambulance order if and only if it is giving me a value add. Otherwise, if I would continuously use an ambulance or no, ensure that all my orders go out in an ambulance way, I will never be able to make money. And lastly, how do we create those processes and systems in order to convert it to a company to sustain profitable growth, and that becomes a culture for the organization, right? So that's all I wanted to tell you on a Sunday morning. That is there a way to look at the weakest link in the right way? Is it possible to focus on the right things, the limited ones? And can you bring about a change in the way you are looking at things, whichever way you may be operating, whether it's at home on a personal front, or whether it's an organization, or whether it's an institution?
Thank you so much, Ripple. It's a great insight, great presentation. And one thing we got to know is for any company to grow, they need to know their strength and constraint. And rather than knowing what to do, one should know what not to do. So it's a great. Now I'll keep the platform open for other members for question and answer. And then any of you, so the floor is open for question and answer. Those who want to ask the question, I think they can unmute themselves and we can connect. Unmesh, anything from your end? See, the great part is, especially now, again, we are saying when most of the companies, as rightly mentioned by Ripple, 99.99% of the companies, they really work on the not weakest link or strong link. So what is really required to really work on that weak link, and that weak link is very important. So I'm sure now we have a team, we have experts who have delivered or who have supported so many companies. I request all my friends who have joined today on. Sorry. I just got a call. I request कि हमारे sorry, I think there was a call. तो आपके कांटेक्ट में, आपके दोस्त में कोई भी रह गए एमएसएमई वाले जिनको लगता है कि दे आर गोइंग थ्रू अ चैलेंजिंग टाइम, दे आर गोइंग थ्रू अ पोस्ट पैंडेमिक, गोइंग थ्रू अ हार्ड टाइम. We have a team, we have a people, and we have a solutions. As I said, we are not just the imparter of knowledge. We just only don't work on imparting knowledge, but we are here to provide a solution as well. And this is really a tough time where everyone has to think differently to come out of this crisis. क्योंकि इंडिया में most of the time ऐसा है कि बहुत लोग conventionally, traditionally, conservatively business कर रहे हैं, and this is a high time where they need to know to adopt right technology at the right time. And again, everyone has to work in taking the company to autopilot mode. But how to take the company to autopilot mode? There are experts like Ripple. There are so many other experts. But yes, we as a business consultancy and success consultancy, we are here to support you, serve you, so as to ensure that you guys really make profits, make your business more scalable and profitable, so that there are more employment generations happening at your end. And really need of the hour is to create work on generating employment. Great guys. Anyone has to, किसी को कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछना है? Unmesh? So I think Ripple, the presentation was so great and insight. So they know that yes, there is a solution on the table for all of these people who were there on Sunday morning. So I request you all to approach us anytime. We are available. Ripple contact details are there in front of your screen. So you and your all, friends near and dear one who are into business, and they really want their business to make their business scalable and profitable. Here is a business consultancy for you, area of constraint experts.
Thank you, Subhash. Thanks a lot. I wish everyone all the very best.
Chalo, great guys. Thank you so much. अगर किसी के क्वेश्चन नहीं रहेगा तो we'll think it's we will sign off for the day.
Thanks a lot.
Ripple, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.